If you don't know green chili cheeseburgers, you're missing out on a killer smothered burger. These burgers are a little spicy, a little messy, and you can't beat the flavor of roasted chilies. Roasted green chilies are a Southwest staple, and putting them on a burger, that will take you to a new world of flavors. And we're not just putting chopped green chilies on a burger here. We're simmering a green chili sauce that adds just the right amount of spice along with all those smoky roasted chilies. This burger will be a hit with your flavor-seeking friends. Before we get into the ground beef, we need to get these chilies roasted. We'll use them to make a green chili sauce reminiscent of the green chili stew that is so popular in the Southwest. A good technique is to roast them right over a burner if you have a gas range. Otherwise, you could just broil or grill them. I like to use a metal rack to keep them from rolling around. Be careful though. You will char and warp the rack a little bit and it will get crazy hot. Charring the peppers will help so that the burnt skin peels away easily and they develop a slightly smoky flavor. Once they're good and charred, place them in a mixing bowl and cover tightly with cling wrap. This will allow them to steam and help to release the skin from the chili. While this steams, we can work on the rest of the burger elements. For this recipe, you could use canned green chilies if you can't find Anaheim's at the store, but roasting your own fresh green chilies is just so much better. These are okay, but these are what makes it really great. Now would be a great time to hit that subscribe button. Thinly shredded iceberg adds a much needed crunch to such a saucy burger. As in all great burger recipes, we'll use 80% lean certified Angus beef ground beef. This is the best beef for grilled burgers because if it's not certified, it's not the best. Divide up 1.5 pounds into 4 6-ounce portions. Work quickly to shape some patties, leaving a small indent in the middle of each one. This will help to keep them from puffing up while they cook. Also, try not to overwork them. That would create a dense burger that's just not as enjoyable to eat as a tender, loosely formed patty. Keep them chilled while we start to build our green chili sauce. Dice up a small onion for a little base flavor, then mince up a couple cloves of garlic. These aren't in the sauce to overpower the roasted chilies, they're just a supporting cast to the star of this sauce. Roasted green chilies are a staple ingredient in New Mexico and Colorado. From Hatch to Pueblo, there are some great tasting chilies grown in that part of the country, and this green chili sauce is inspired by the flavors that cuisine has to offer. The chilies have begun to cool and the skin has had time to steam, so it should be pretty easy to remove that charred skin. Simply wipe off the skin with a paper towel. Some people like to do this under running water because it's less messy, but all that water is just washing away flavor. I prefer this method because I want to keep as many of those juices with the chilies as possible. Remove the tops and core the seeds of the chilies before starting to dice them. You can dice them as small or large as you like, but I like to keep them around the same size as the onion to make sure that the sauce has a little bit of everything with each bite. The smell coming from these minced chilies makes me nostalgic for my time in Colorado. Roadside stands roasting green chilies are a thing of beauty. Here we use butter to saute the aromatics, but you could use beef tallow or even bacon fat as well. Start with sauteing the onion and garlic for just a few minutes until soft and translucent, then hit it with a little bit of salt. After the aromatics has started to soften, add a little flour and ground cumin. Toast those for just a minute to open up the flavor of the cumin and cook the flour. This will cook the raw flavor out of the flour since we're not simmering for all that long. For this recipe, we're just using water as the base for our sauce, but you could use broth or even a beer. Now bring that to a quick simmer to thicken. Now it's time to add those roasted green chilies. Once they're incorporated into the sauce, you may need to add a little water depending on how juicy those chilies are. This looks a little dry, so I'll add about another 1/4 cup. This will just simmer for a little while to meld the flavors and make sure that it's fully thickened. We'll simply season the patties with a little salt and pepper to keep the flavor of the patties straightforward. This is a perfect recipe for grilling burgers as opposed to a pan sear. The smokiness of the roasted chilies with the char from the grill just work naturally so well together. Make sure your grill is preheated before going on with the patties. High heat will ensure the burgers don't stick to the grates. The burgers will cook 4 to 5 minutes on the first side, and I like to rotate them so that they char evenly but don't end up with any burnt spots. When they release easily from the grill grates, it's time to flip. Make sure your grill is extremely hot. I'm talking 450 degrees. You want a good crust on those burgers. Once they're flipped and starting to sear on the second side, top with green chili sauce and a slice of cheese. If your grill has a lid, it's a good time to cover these burgers to melt the cheese and finish cooking them through. It's a good practice to temp the burgers before removing them from the grill. They may look done, but you want to make sure. If they aren't cooked through, just move them to indirect heat and cover with the lid until they are at the temperature that you like. This build is super simple. A little mustard and shredded crunchy iceberg is my favorite way to eat it, but you can use any condiments you like. The key here is to let the burger with the green chili sauce be the star and not overcomplicate it with too many toppings. Green chili sauce on a burger is a win for anyone who likes Southwestern food. This burger is big and sloppy, so I think I'm gonna have to cut it in half before I give it a good taste. Oh yeah, look at that. Juicy green chilies. A little bit spicy, the smokiness from the green chilies. You have to try this. This is gonna be one of your new favorite burgers. See you next time here in the Test Kitchen.